Hello YouTube and welcome to the next Routes Learning video. On today's video we're going to be revisiting the Wherry Lines add-on from Armstrong Powerhouse, and I'm going to be driving a journey between Great Yarmouth and Norwich via Acle, using a scenario which comes with the new Armstrong Powerhouse scenario pack for this route. We'll be following the real-life timetable of train 2P11, which is the 8:45 Great Yarmouth to Norwich service, calling at Acle and Lingwood along the way, and our attraction is an Abellio Greater Anglia Class 170. The Class 170 has been in service since 1998 and was manufactured by Adtrans and Bombardier. They are part of the Turbostar family of diesel multiple units and were constructed between 1998 and 2005, with a total of 122 Class 170 units constructed, formed of 2 or 3 coaches per train set. The length of each 2-coach unit, such as the one that we're in today, is 47.2 metres, which is 154 feet and 11 inches. The maximum speed of each unit is 100 miles per hour, though the maximum speed we'll be able to get up to on this journey today is 60 miles per hour due to the speed limits along the route. The power output for each unit is 422 horsepower. In the cab of the Class 170, there's very little that I need to do to set up ready for departure. The first thing I'm going to do here is to move the reversing handle into the forward position, which I've just done now. And now that I've done that, all I actually need to do is turn on the headlights with the H key, and then the unit is set up ready for departure. So just to go through the controls very quickly here, we've got the combined traction and brake controller here with 7 steps of power, and what should be a West Code 3-step brake, but this hasn't been simulated correctly, so when you're braking the handle will move much more smoothly, allowing for more precise brake control. In front of us here we've got the speedometer with, to the left of that, the driver reminder appliance, which is functional on this unit, and then just to the right of that we've got the brake gauge there with the brake cylinder pressure. Of course, the higher the needle's pointing, then the harder the brakes are applied. Now what I'm going to try and do is try and apply the brakes so that the needle points to the positions that they would if the brakes had notches instead of the brake handle moving smoothly. So step 1 of braking is around 1.5. I make it step 2 to 2.5, and step 3 of braking would be around 3.5 on the right needle on the brake gauge just there. Now over here we've got the horn, which is a 2-tone horn controlled with the spacebar and the B key. And now that we've looked at that, we've pretty much looked at all of the pertinent controls in the cab for our journey. So let's just take a look at a couple more shots of the train from the outside, and then we'll start our journey down towards Norwich. Departing from Great Yarmouth, the starting speed limit is 15 miles per hour, and we've got just under 8 miles to go to our first stop, which is Acle. I've now gone up to notch 5 of power to bring our speed up towards 15. I didn't see much point in going to a higher power setting than that, because I knew that I'd need to idle the power as soon as we got to 15 miles per hour. So now we're doing 15, we've just got to coast along here until we can accelerate further. Going to cross a couple of sets of points first, and then the speed limit will be going up to 50 miles per hour. The journey that we're doing on this route today is one that I haven't yet covered on this channel, so when I previously did a video on the Wherry Lines route last month, I covered the journey between Norwich and Lowestoft, and so that doesn't actually duplicate on this journey at all, except for the short section between Brundle and Norwich, which will be duplicated, but we will of course be travelling in the opposite direction. Other than that, we're on all new track, which I haven't yet covered in a video on this channel. The speed limit's just gone up to 50 miles per hour now, so I'm just about to increase the power just before we reach this signal on the right hand side. And now we can start accelerating towards 50, so I'm just gradually increasing the power, and now I'm up to full power to accelerate towards the 50 mile per hour speed limits. Just passing the old carriage sidings on the right hand side now. I assume that they're the old carriage sidings just because of how overgrown they are just here. As we get towards 50 miles per hour, I'm going to have to start lowering the power setting. In fact, I'm going to go down to notch 4 of power now. So we're now in notch 4 power, just to ensure that we don't break the speed limit. The line to Reedham now diverges to the left, which is the alternate route to Norwich, and we diverge to the right as we're going via Acle. Just after this right hand curve here, the speed limit is now going up to 60 miles per hour, so I'm just going to increase the power just as we reach this crossing. Now, interestingly, to maintain 60 miles per hour in this unit on this route, I just simply put the power handle into notch 6 of power, and it holds us at just below 60, and it won't allow the train to exceed that speed. But I think that might be due to a slight physics change, because when you drive this particular train on the Edinburgh to Glasgow route, if you were to put the power handle into notch 6, it would maintain a speed of around 98 miles per hour instead of 60. I've just cut the power handle back now to notch 6 of power to prevent us from breaking the speed limit. And at this point we've now got a really long dead straight section before there's a curve. And once we reach the next curve, because the straight is so long, that actually acts as a landmark to help us to know how close we're getting to our next stop. I realised that before I uploaded the Class 90 train guide yesterday, that I actually hadn't managed to make any videos in nearly 5 weeks. That's just because I had a really busy time around Easter, of course, going away for a few days. And then after I got back from Denmark, just after my birthday, just wanted a few days off. I was originally going to try and make more videos in the Easter holidays. I just really needed to relax, so I didn't get around to making any more. And then in the last couple of weeks I've just been really busy with uni work. Thankfully I've only got 2 more weeks of class at uni, and then the classes will have finished for the year. I've just got a few exams coming up in May and the beginning of June. But I'm going to have a lot more time over the next few weeks to start uploading more videos, as I'd really like to try and grow this channel over the summer and try and make up for lost time, shall we say, with some of the videos I just haven't had the time to make over the last few months. So upcoming videos include a Bristol to Cardiff video, so I'm going to be doing that on the Dovetail Games version of the Bristol-Cardiff route. Probably in a class 150 or 158, I'm not 100% certain yet, but I'm planning on trying to do a stopping service on that route. The frame rate performance is considerably better there than the Just Trains version of the route as well, which is really helpful when trying to make a video. I'm also planning on doing a Gatwick Express journey still in a Class 442 from Gatwick Airport up to London Victoria, and I haven't actually decided which routes or trains yet, but I plan on covering another US route and also another German route just to try and add a bit more variety to the videos on the channel, so they should hopefully be coming up over the next few weeks. We're now reaching the first right-hand curve since the start of this dead straight section, or should I say the first curve overall since the start of the dead straight section. At the end of this curve, we've then got 2.5 miles to go to our stop at Acle. As you can see, we're on another long dead straight section just here, and that's because the land around here is actually remarkably flat. In fact, we've just reached the first significant gradient for quite some time, so we're just climbing slightly now, and then there's a downhill gradient just after this bridge here. I don't actually need to do anything as the train won't gain enough speed on this downhill gradient for us to break the speed limit. The gradient's again just about to level off just now. Other than that, there's been no significant gradients so far on this journey. What I'm looking out for along here now is a warning for an upcoming 20 mph speed restriction, which is just under 1 mile to the speed limit and to our stop. And then I'm looking out for a distance signal just after that, which is the next landmark. So we've just reached the 20 warning now. You can see the distance signal coming up just ahead, and the distance signal is currently in the on or caution position. So at this point I'm now going to idle the power, and shortly after passing this signal I'm then going to apply the brakes. So I've now made the equivalent to roughly a step 1 brake application, and I will increase that to step 2 in a moment as we get a bit further around the curve, so I'm just going to do that now. Now speed is now coming off quite nicely. Now reducing the braking just so that we don't stop too early. I just need to make sure that the next signal is giving us a clear aspect, and I can now see the next signal, and I can see that it is currently in the on or danger position. You can see the home signal coming up just there. It's just come off now, so that means that we've now got a clear aspect or proceed aspect. So we are now cleared into Acle Station. I'm just going to give us a little bit of speed here. The speed limit will be very shortly now dropping to 20 mph just after this signal. So I'm just going to accelerate to just around 20, in fact maybe just slightly over, and then idle the power. We are now on an uphill gradient, which is actually causing us to lose a little bit of speed. As you can see, we are in idle, but the speedometer needle is falling a bit. That's just helping us to slow down a bit as we enter the platform here. The speed limit's just gone down to 20 just as we reach this point. Now I'm just going to give us a little bit of braking so that I can bring to a fairly gentle stop. The stopping point here at Acle Station is just under the footbridge just there. believe there's an S sign, if I remember correctly, which is where all trains would need to stop when stopping here. And so here we are, arrival at Acle. There's actually a 12-minute stop timetabled here in this scenario, but don't worry, I'm not going to sit here for 12 minutes, I'm going to significantly shorten it. And as you can see, we've also got a not clear signal ahead, or should I say a danger signal ahead, because the repeater just there in the driver's windscreen that you can see is showing a danger aspect. So I'm going to turn on the driver reminder appliance at this point, as you would do in reality when you don't have a clear signal. So we're now going to be sitting here just waiting for a class 37 to come from the other direction, and as the signal clears, then it will also be our time to depart from this station. First thing I now need to do is just check signal clear, and as you can see, the repeater ahead is now showing signal clear, so I'm now going to deactivate the driver reminder appliance, and now we can depart away towards our next stop, which is Lingwood at 2.5 miles away. At this point, we also need to remember that the current speed limit is 20 miles per hour, so I don't want to exceed that, and I've just gone up to notch 5 of power to accelerate towards 20, and then as we get to 20, I'm just going to idle the power for a moment until we've crossed the point just ahead, and then just after we've crossed the point, the speed limit will then be going back up to 60 miles per hour. So we've now crossed back onto the single track section, and we can accelerate towards 60 as we pass the 50 board there, which is for the other direction. So I'm going straight up into full power. At this point, we've now got an uphill gradient of 1 in 110, which will affect our ability to accelerate, and indeed we'll actually only just get to 60 miles per hour before we need to start considering slowing down for our next stop. As you can see, the train is currently accelerating, but it's certainly accelerating very slowly, extremely sluggishly indeed. The Class 170s aren't really known for good acceleration, even on level gradients. So to have a gradient like this, which isn't quite a 1% grade, but it's pretty close to it, certainly slows down the acceleration rates on these units even further. Gradient is now levelling out, and at this point I'm just going down 1 notch of power now, just to ensure that we don't break the 60 mile per hour speed limit. Coming up in a moment is a distance signal, and at that distance signal we've then got 3/4 of a mile to go to our stop. So you can see the signal just coming up on the left hand side now. What I'm looking out for next is a small hut on the left hand side. As we reach that hut, I'm then going to idle the power. So we're just coming up on the hut now, and then there's a small crossing that we'll be going across in a moment, and I want to apply the brakes up to around what would be notch 2 or step 2 just before we reach that crossing. See the crossing just coming up, so just as we pass the post there, I've now got the brakes up to around 2.5, which should be step 2 braking, or the equivalent of that, and that should bring our speed down quite nicely for our stop at Lingwood. You can now see the station just coming up on the right hand side. I reduced the braking slightly as I felt we might be slowing down just slightly too quickly, and now I'm increasing the braking once again because I really don't want to enter the platform. It's any faster than 15 to 20 miles per hour. So now down to 20 and just coming down towards 15. I'm just reducing the braking further now. Here at Lingwood, I need to sort of estimate the stopping point as I couldn't see any marker posts to tell me exactly where to stop. So I'm aiming to stop by the bench on the right hand side, which will be coming up just in a moment. You can see the bench just there on the right now. So I want to stop just after that bench has disappeared. This should be about the right place to stop. Departing Lingwood, the starting speed limit is 60 miles per hour, and we've got around 8 miles to go to our next and final stop, which is Norwich. The gradient here has now levelled out, so the acceleration rate is now back to normal. So once we reach 60 miles per hour, I'm going to go back into notch 6 of power to maintain our speed. And the next landmark that we're looking out for along here is a warning for an upcoming 25 mile per hour speed restriction, which is just over 3/4 of a mile from the speed limit itself. And the speed limit's actually for the junction where we join the line from Reedham, so the Great Yarmouth via Reedham route, and also the route from Lowestoft. Now reached 60 miles per hour. I've just moved the power handle back to notch 6 of power. I'm just looking out now for the upcoming 25 mile per hour speed restriction warning. I think I can see it coming up just ahead. So yes, we've got the AWS warning for that now. As we reach this board, I'm now going to idle the power, as shortly after the board we're going to have a down 1 in 100 gradient, which will cause an increase in the speed of the train. Also along here now I'm looking out for a whistle board, and I'm going to brake to the equivalent to step 2 of braking just before we reach that whistle board. Just braking very lightly now just to ensure we didn't break the speed limit, and we've now reached the whistle board, so I've now got the brakes into the equivalent roughly to step 2 braking, and that should bring our speed down nicely for the upcoming 25 limit. And now see the 25 board coming up. I just applied slightly more braking just to ensure we slowed down in time. Now I'm just going to brake lightly down to 25 and then release the brakes at around 23 miles per hour, just because we are still on a slight downhill gradient, although the gradient will be levelling out in a moment, should I say. I'm now just allowing the train to coast for a moment, and then just after we've crossed this junction, we can then accelerate back up to the line speed of 60 miles per hour around halfway through this abandoned platform here on the left hand side, And then coming up just now is Brundle Station. At Brundle Station we had just 5 3/4 miles to go to Norwich, and there's another station coming up shortly, which is the last station which we will pass through before reaching Norwich, which is Brundle Gardens Station, and at Brundle Gardens we've then got 4 3/4 miles to go to our destination. We're now passing Brundle Gardens Station, and I'm just moving the power handle back now to notch 6 to ensure that we don't break the speed limit. There are now no speed changes up until just before we get to Norwich. We now have a Morpeth board warning for a 20 over 60 speed limit, with the 20 mile per hour speed restriction applying to loco haul trains, and the 60 mile per hour speed restriction, which is of course our current speed limit, applying to units such as the one that we're in here. As a result of that, you do need to cancel the alarm, but you don't need to take any further action, as we'll be entering the speed zone in a moment. And of course only the 60 applies to us. The speed zone is actually very short, so if you're in a loco haul train you don't have to stay at 20 miles per hour for very long. It's just for this small bridge just here, and then the speed limit goes immediately back up to 60 miles per hour. In a moment, the branch from Cromer and Sheringham will be joining us on the right hand side, and then we're going to be passing along what I believe, really personally for me, to be the most scenic section of the whole route, certainly the most enjoyable section to be driving along as we run alongside. I'm not sure if it's a river or a canal, so I don't know if anyone could possibly let me know in the comments which one it is. I just really like the scenery down there, and it's really nice just running alongside the water for a couple of minutes. And then just as we leave that scenic section, we're then going to have a warning for an upcoming 25 mile per hour speed restriction, with the warning being just over half a mile from the speed limit itself. I'm going to idle the power as we reach the warning, and then I'm going to apply the brakes just before we reach a whistle board. Shortly after the speed limit drops to 25, it will then be dropping further down to 15 miles per hour. We've now got the warning for the upcoming 25 speed restriction. So I'm just going to idle the power now at this point. I'd just like to apologise for these random lag patches, they are slightly annoying. I often do get one just as I'm coming into Norwich anyway. So here's the whistle board I mentioned, and I'm now applying the brakes up to what would be the equivalent to step 2 braking. Just to bring our speed down to 25 miles per hour. The speed limit drops to 25 just after the next signal, and then straight after that, as we cross a point to the right, the speed limit will be dropping further down to 15 miles per hour. You can just see the next signal coming up just ahead there, which is showing us a single yellow aspect. Just had light braking there just to bring our speed down to 25, and I can now see the points coming up we're going to be crossing, so I'm going to brake further down to 15. As you can see, we've got a number 6 above the signal, which indicates that we are cleared into platform 6 at Norwich Station. At this point I'm just going to allow the train to coast. Just after we've crossed this junction, the speed limit does in fact go up slightly, but I see very little point in accelerating much further, as we're very shortly going to be stopping at Norwich Station. However, I'm just going to go up very slightly in speed now, just a little bit up towards 20, but prepare to slow down again in a moment. I've now idled the power at just below 20 miles per hour and preparing to brake in a moment, as we're going to cross some points to the right which are actually quite sharp, and I'm not sure you'd actually want to take those points at 20 miles per hour. And also I'm aiming to enter the platform at no faster than around 10 miles per hour. I've just brought the speed back down to 15 now and release the brakes, and just as we head towards the platform I'll brake further so that we don't enter at faster than 10, especially as the platform that we're going to be routed into just here is one of the shorter platforms at the station. Now applied some light braking to bring our speed down towards 10, and as we're now coming down to 10 miles per hour, I'm once again releasing the brakes just to allow the train to coast. You can now see the buffer stops coming up just ahead, so I want to aim to stop roughly as the buffer stops disappear, as the dashboard just goes just over them. And then at that point we should be stopped about the right distance away from them. And at this point we should now be stopping in about the right place. So here we are, arrival at Norwich. Thank you very much for watching this video. I really do hope that you have enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, please don't forget that you can find me on Facebook for the latest updates. The link to my Facebook profile is in the description of this video. Once again, thank you for watching.